The British government will ban Huawei from having any role in providing technology for its 5G networks from 2027 on, with the company barred from providing any new equipment from the end of this year. The UK previously gave the Chinese company the green light to operate, but following strong pressure from the Trump administration to ban Huawei completely, the government has made a dramatic U-turn, citing serious security concerns. Here's what the UK's Digital Secretary Oliver Dowden had to say.
The government agrees with the National Cybersecurity Centre's advice. The best way to secure our networks is for operators to stop using new affected Huawei equipment to build the UK's future 5G networks. So to be clear, from the end of this year, telecoms operators must not buy any 5G equipment from Huawei. And once the Telecom Security Bill is passed, it will be illegal for them to do so.
Joining me now is Emily Taylor, an Associate Fellow at Chatham House's International Security Programme. Emily, how significant is the decision to block Huawei from the UK's 5G network?
It's very significant, not just at a technical level and for the businesses of the mobile operators. It's also significant geopolitically, both for the impact on the UK's relationship with China and with the US, and of course, opening up distance between the UK and the rest of the European Union on this issue.
Why has the UK taken this decision now, and is it justified?
There are a number of reasons why the UK has taken this decision. If you recall, the UK announced its position on Huawei back in January and sought to sort of carve a middle way, if you like, that would acknowledge the security concerns voiced by the US and other international allies, but also kept really business as usual for the mobile operators. The limit of 35% set back in January very much reflected the status quo. What we're seeing now is a ramping up of tension. There is a fairly respectable technological excuse, if you like, for changing position, and that is the unknown impact of US sanctions affecting semiconductor chips supply. But there are lots and lots of other more political reasons, both internationally and domestically, where a fair number of the governing parties' representatives are very opposed to having Huawei.
You just mentioned international repercussions. Do you expect this decision from the UK to resonate outside of the UK?
Very much so, because part of the drivers for reopening the decision are about international tensions. China has already had very harsh words for the UK in response to Hong Kong, and there are also tensions surrounding the Chinese attitude towards the Uyghur Muslims. I think also the pandemic has played a part and certainly affected public opinion in the United Kingdom. A recent opinion poll done by the Financial Times suggests that 83% of British people don't trust China at the moment. But this is clearly an effort to move closer in line with other Five Eyes partnerships. Five Eyes being the intelligence sharing cooperation between the US, Australia and others. But it will also caused problems with China at a point where the UK is exiting the European Union, making those ties weaker with European partners. And the European other member states have been doing their own thing with Huawei, despite calls for an overall policy, an overall coordinated response. In fact, every country has been rolling out 5G in their own way. Countries has been to use Huawei in some way.
Emily Taylor of Chatham House, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The German cabinet is set to decide whether to make it easier for intelligence agencies to install spyware on computers and phones to monitor encrypted communication. Messaging services such as WhatsApp, Telegram and Signal use end-to-end encryption, making it hard to monitor. Under the new proposed law, technology companies could be obliged to send spyware to a user's device hidden as an app or software update, which could access a user's microphone, camera and texts. Well, the spyware proposal has got technology companies and civil society organizations worried. Journalists' groups say it could be used to monitor on reporters, for example, conducting sensitive investigations. Well, our reporter, Joel Dalroy, has been following this for us. Joel, why do German intelligence agencies want these new powers?
Well, today, many of us use apps for our communication. We've moved away from texts and emails, and we use apps such as WhatsApp, which has 2 billion users worldwide, and Facebook Messenger, which is the second biggest. Now, both of these have end-to-end encryption, which means that it's very hard for those messages to be monitored, either by hackers or government agencies. Now, that's made them popular with protest organisers around the world, as well as journalists communicating with their sources. Now, security services might say that they can also be used by criminals and terrorists to send messages to each other. Now, today, if the German security agency wants to monitor a device, they have to get physical access to it to install spyware on it. Or they could trick the user into downloading a piece of malicious code that would then enable that to happen. However, under this new proposal, the German spy agencies wants to make that easier. They want to be able to install spyware to track encrypted communication without the user having to do anything at all.
How would this work in practice then?
Sure. Well, under this proposal, which is being discussed here in Germany as the state Trojan spyware proposal, technology companies would be obliged to install monitoring technology in their very data centres. Then spy agencies could use that to send a packet of malicious code to a user's device. And this could be very easily done by hiding it inside an app update or a software update, or even via an unsecure website. Then the device could be monitored, including its camera, its microphone and keypad entries. And this would get around end-to-end encryption because essentially they could monitor a device from a user's perspective. Now, these kind of tools are already being used in other countries, but not here in Germany, which has a very high valuation on privacy, of course, here. And in fact, many internet service providers here in Germany are valued by companies and users precisely because they operate under such strict privacy rules. But now, if this new law passes, those same companies could be conscripted to become part of intelligence operations.
It sounds like a very nifty solution for intelligence agencies, of course. Why is everybody so worried?
Well, we've heard from both business and civil society groups that are against this. For example, the German Technology Association, Bitkom, it doesn't want its members to have to be recruited into these kind of operations and to essentially act as middlemen for the spy agencies. We've also heard that journalist groups are very worried about this. Reporters Without Borders says the Interior Ministry has given no explanation as to how state hacking of journalists would be prohibited under these new laws. Now, we did ask the German Interior Ministry for an explanation as to why these new laws are necessary. We haven't heard back from them as of yet. Now, the German cabinet is due tomorrow to decide on this proposal. It will then have to go to the parliament to be approved, but it could all end up in Germany's constitutional court, which has in the past already ruled that Germans have a right to be able to trust the integrity and privacy of their devices.
Joel Dalroy, thank you very much for this update.